The best investment. It was once said by Brian Smith, the managing partner for the Blackfoot River Brewing Company, investing in employees is the single most important investment a company can make. As a working member of American society today, I have learned the value of being a paid employee who earns living wages and gained a lot of respect for employers who make the sacrifices to pay their employees more. Most every member of society has to work to make money, and we all know that money makes the world go round. Whether we're paying rent, tuition, buying groceries, and the dollar really doesn't go as far as it used to. I'm from Montana, and since I live in Idaho now, you can't go to McDonald's and go to the dollar menu and get anything for just $1 because there's sales tax. It's the same thing everywhere. Rent some places is way more than others, and you might not get a good place, you might get a really crappy place. We all need money, and we need more of it to live today. The election this year focused a lot, and that's what got me thinking about this. The record shows that employees who are paid more return more to the local economy, are happier, and work harder. A raise in minimum wage is a smart economic move, and it benefits all of us in society. Raising the minimum wage can help lower the amount of debt for families. The first minimum wage law was passed in 1938, and it gave workers a guaranteed 25 cents an hour. Now the minimum wage is $7.25, which when figured out, a year for working full-time is about $15,080. I looked up the levels for poverty, and last year, for full-time working and making minimum wage, poverty is $11,490. And 133% poverty is $15,282. There are almost 50 million American citizens in poverty last year alone. The minimum wage hit its glory days in the 1960s, and while the value has increased steadily since then, it's actually decreased 30% with the inflation. The raise in minimum wage is good for so many reasons, but a few of them are families. It would put more money in the pockets of American families, so they would in turn spend more in communities, schools, politics. It would also stimulate the economy. Raising minimum wage, people who would normally only have enough money to pay their bills or would be pretty frugal about how they spend their money, they aren't going to spend a lot of extra, will be more willing to invest in things or go out on a limb and spend more money. With the raise in the wage, there would be 58% growth in low-wage jobs, which when you add those positions to the minimum wage, there's really not any, even though the unemployment rate is going up, there's not people making any more money, so there's still just as many people in poverty. It would reduce the amount of families that have debt. Instead of just barely paying their bills every month, they'd be able to put a little aside or pay back some of the loans that they've had to take out. They'd have a little more cushion, so they would feel like they could go back and spend money on those bills and not just worry about what's coming next month. They would also help reduce the amount of abusive and exploitive practices of some employers, the ones who are more willing to hire undocumented workers or cut-rate employees who will just take the lowest wage possible. Every business wants to save money, but with an increase in minimum wage, the people who are worthy of getting those kinds of jobs could at least be compensated fairly for them. It would also help with local funding. A lot of people who don't make enough money to support themselves are not going to support school levies or increases in pay for firefighters and police officers and public workers, things that we definitely need, but if they just see it as a tax raise, they're probably not going to vote in support of things like that. With the cost of living only increasing, it's just going to make people more skeptical about spending any money, which won't help us get out of this recession. If small businesses will pay out more money for their employees, they'll make more back. They'll have increased revenues as many members of the society spend more, but their productivity will also increase because their workers are more willing to be at work, like work more because they're being paid fairly. Um, so paying your employees is not only the right thing to do, but it makes for good business, is what Jim Sinegal, who is the CEO of Costco. And Costco is a huge employer in our country. They're a huge business. They make a lot of money, but it shows that if they feel like spending more money on their workers is important, then that's what makes good business for a huge corporation. With the current cloud that looms over the head of many Americans in today's economy, an increase in minimum wage can offer a ray of hope for families who suffer from financial burdens and give them money to put back in our nation's economy for tomorrow.